What is up, podheads? Back with another episode of the Podioslave podcast. My name is Tony, joined as always by Anthony and Nate.
What is happening, folks, in listener land?
Ooh, listener land. I like it, dude.
So,
listeners of the world, come join us in our nerdery.
So that's a tone line, and not an original tone line, but you've dropped it because I just listened to, I think it was the Poison the Well episode that came out a few weeks back, and you mentioned listener land, and I'm like, I'm going to use it.
Yeah, because there's like 7 people out there listening to this right now. So we appreciate that, first of all. But secondly, you guys got a killer scene there, man. I wanted to just say that up front. This has been a lot of fun, and we don't need any long, slow goodbyes tonight.
Dude, I'm all tangled up in plaid just thinking about what you're saying here. What are you talking about, dude?
The dad jokes continue.
If I had a little sister, she'd be into Queens.
Man.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
So what's going on, guys? You guys feeling good, feeling great?
Yeah, man. I mean, this has been something we've been looking forward to doing for probably about a week now, because we pitched a couple to each other, and I was like, let's do that one. We've done
Songs for the Deaf.
Yeah, we did Songs for the Deaf, and this is the follow-up to it, and it's a great record. But yeah, this is an exciting one. I'm excited to do it, but I think you had a prompt first, Anthony?
Yeah, and actually, I just thought of it before we started recording. If the video hits for this episode, you'll see Tony's got the Queens of the Stone Age, Portland, Maine tour poster. He's got the Lullabies record. I have the same poster on my wall. And it got me thinking in real-time drink, Queens probably have the best optics of any fucking band on the planet. And it got me thinking, is that fact? And if not, who rivals?
It's a good call.
There's mystique there. There's like a living, breathing Tarantino movie at all times. Like, it is the coolest name. The merch is nuts. Like, who rivals them? Like Tool, maybe? Their optics are cool, but a lot of people think it's a little too much at times, right?
Deftones.
Deftones.
Rocking a Deftones shirt. You are too, Anthony. So Deftones. Deftones might be another one that is in that world and has been consistent with it for a while. Like, there are bands that have had a good cycle, but then maybe gone to something else, and you're like, I don't like that quite as much, and that's not a t-shirt I wear, or whatever. But Queens has always done it. Deftones, I feel like, has done it for the majority of their career. Tool for a while, yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot that have been able to do that for years.
Yeah, it's a good assessment. I think if you're saying of all time, I think what Queens of the Stone Age is doing with their artwork is representing the music through the artwork in a way that's not replicated to a lot of bands in the modern era, although I think it was done in the past with bands like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. So they're almost picking up where that left off. So maybe it's a throwback to how it used to be. Like, you'd get an LP and you look through the artwork, and I'm thinking of like almost Pink Floyd specifically at this point. Like, it coincides with the music like perfectly, and like those optics are aligned. So Queens of the Stone Age, I think, falls into that realm. But other than that, yeah, what's going on today? There's not a whole lot. Tool, I think, is a great example too. But like you said, it can be a little almost too complicated.
Well, not even the artwork, not just the artwork, like the whole presentation. The whole
shebang-a-bang. Yeah, baby, I'm with you.
The whole thing of the band. Like, even the live, they're a small club band playing fucking arenas. It's just the whole vibe. And there's some bands where like the members are too present, they're too out there, and I don't think they fall into that. Tool doesn't fall into that. I mean, Maynard rarely does press, and when he does, it's Joe Rogan or something, you know, which takes away from the optics, I think.
Yeah. Every now and then Nate would see Danny Carey at the Baked Potato in SoCal, but yeah.
Yeah.
Did that enhance or destroy the optics for you? Like, he's too accessible.
It's an interesting question, because he's such a prolific drummer. Like, to see him just playing a small little jazz club was like, I don't know. I think it, for a nerd, made it even better. Like, oh, this guy's just a regular dude in maybe one of the biggest bands in history.
Well, and one of the top 5 drummers ever too.
Yeah. So I don't think it dumbed it down, but it did change it. That mystique was gone, because this guy's just like I don't know. He's almost like kind of a shy person. So you're like, can I get a picture with him? He's like, oh yeah, sure. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. He's supposed to be this badass rock star.
Yeah, he's still a badass rock star, though. Did he have his setup? Did he have his drum setup? That's the question, because that thing is epic.
Not the whole setup, but he did for like the bass drum. He did have like the Tool logo on there. Not nice. Tool, the band name, but like the like the artwork from Alex Gray.
Nice. Yeah, so that's another band that does that. But yeah, it's a good call, Anthony. I think Queens is, from soup to nuts, pretty spot on with what they put out there. And there's just enough mystique to keep you guessing and want more. There's just enough accessibility to be like, oh man, this band's awesome. They play big venues and make them feel small, which we've talked about in the past. And yeah, they're up there for sure.
I got one more in the combo. Glassjaw.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, just you said mystique, and I thought of Glassjaw. I mean, how can you not? You know, the logo, the records, the albums, the artwork, the whole package.
There's another Long Island band that would have fit in that we probably would have talked about a million times had they not been canceled. And we'll leave it at that. But yeah, there's another one that did that really well.
Really well, yeah. But yeah, in listener land, what band has the best optics? Let us know. DMs, comments, snail mail, smoke signals. Let us know.
Yeah, smoke signals, baby. Send them. That's actually fitting for Queens of the Stone Age. So it's a good segue, Anthony. But we're gonna talk Lullabies to Paralyze tonight, which is the record that I think I listened to like third or fourth of their records, but got into them when it came out, if that makes any sense. Nate was there. He remembers. He was pushing me to be a fan of this band from Rated R to when they blew up, really, with Songs for the Deaf, and then went back and listened to the self-titled, and then we saw them on tour, right, for this record in Boston 20 years ago, like probably around when this drops. So it was seeing them live on tour for this record that made me a fan, and then I had to go back and consume all of it, and have been. They're probably, I hesitate to say they're my favorite band ever, but they're in the top 5. They're one of my bands that I go back to all the time. Doesn't matter the record, just matters what mood I'm in. And this is one of those records that I wish I had come back to more frequently because it's fucking awesome.
I'm smirking. You know why? I'm you 18 years later.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it took you... I was going to ask, what was the hesitation, right? It sounds like it took a few years. Because you guys have been pushing them on me for years, and it took that Civic Center gig for me to sliver kind of get it. Yeah. And no one gets it. You know, no one still gets it.
So I'd heard, we'd all heard No One Knows a million times on the radio. And I was like, all right, that song's cool, but like, I'm kind of sick of it. It's been everywhere and whatever. I'll check them out whenever I feel like it. Cool. Thanks, Nate. And then I think you put Rated R in my CD player in my car one night when we were like 21. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I see like, this is cool. It's weird. It's got some funky stuff to it, but it's got some stonery. It's got some good vibes. It's a good record. Okay. Yeah, I'll listen to more. And then we went and saw them, and I was like, oh, there it is. This all makes complete sense to me now. I fucking love this band.
Yeah, dude, the live experience with the band, I think, is a game changer. It's another one of those bands that I would read about in Call It Back, Kerrang magazine. Huge in the UK. Drink. Huge in Europe, way before they blew up here. So they were always raving about this band. I would see that name, and they would be like in articles, and, you know, just that persona that we were talking about with the band members. You know, not front and center all the time, but Josh Homme is a fucking movie character all day. Just everything about him. There's a nickname for him, the Ginger Elvis, you know. Sings like it, has obviously a little bit of influence in how he sings, but also even kind of looks like him too, which is crazy. But yeah, seeing them live, I think, was a game changer for me as well. And I was already a fan, but seeing them live basically brought the music to motion picture. It was like, oh yeah, it is a smoky room with like these weird songs that are supposed to fit some kind of, you know, scene in a movie. I guess we keep kind of referencing that because it just seems so fitting. But yeah, that was it for me. And to call back what you were saying earlier, I was like, is this one of my favorite bands? I actually listened to this record in prep for this and was thinking, fuck, man, this might actually be my favorite band, like of all time.
Yeah, me too, man. I did the same thing.
Wow, head explosion emojis everywhere.
And I can't pick a favorite band, but like wanting to listen to music, and when you go to grab something, you're like, I'm never disappointed by grabbing a Queens record. So that's probably what constitutes as a favorite band for me. But I got a few of those bands. I'm sure all three of us do, where it's like, I'm not going to be let down no matter what record from the catalog I pull out.
Well, I don't think they ever fell off. You know, there's fan favorites, but I'm the most casual of this group. I did some research of the rankings and stuff, and a lot of people have strong opinions. Some people favor the later stuff, you know, and that rarely happens, you know?
Well, I was gonna save it for the end when I gave you my top three. I'm still not even sure what it is, but I think Like Clockwork is my favorite Queens record, and that's later.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's with loving all of these other ones from the. My favorite era is like '01 to '04, '05, but I like Clockwork the most. I think they needed to do all that other stuff to have Like Clockwork happen, and it's really, and it's Josh having gone through all the stuff he went through medically and makes this story. We'll do that one later, but that one is my favorite, and this era is my favorite era of Queens.
So we always kind of talk about our early memories with these records, and I will say, hand up, no shame, I listened to this for the first time this week.
Wow.
I'm a newbie. I heard Little Sister. That
Couldn't
was
miss
one
it.
that,
Yeah.
when that came up in the, I didn't recognize the name of the song actually, but when it came up in the, when I was deep diving it, I was like, okay, I recognize that. Beyond that, I'd never heard this record, guys. So hopefully that's a fresh perspective.
Yeah, well, we just did this with Poison the Well with me a couple weeks back, and Sean from Trawl, shout out Sean, and it's fun, right? Being on the other side of it,
It's
being
fun.
Like fresh
It
ears
is.
on a record that we know the other guys love.
Like, guys, imagine you guys listening to this for the first time at 40.
Yeah.
Are you jealous? No. I'm just kidding.
Kinda, actually.
It's always
Yeah.
fun to pretend like you'd never heard it before and put it back on again. I want to do that sometimes. Just be able to like forget something. We've talked about that before.
Cleanse your ear palate and then listen to it.
Yeah, I think that's something to be a little envious of, because it's so good that you're like, oh, it's like it hasn't been overdone. Not that you can really, I don't know, you can't really ruin an album for yourself. You just stop playing it. But to just get into it now, like you can play it every day for the next 2 weeks and be like, God damn, I'm finding new things. Where, we've had a little bit of time that if we're just discovering things now, it's like, fuck, were we being lazy? Were we not paying attention?
Right.
We weren't listening to our friends, clearly.
Well, I did. It just took me a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So, okay, Nate, what are your early memories? Because mine was going to that concert in Boston with you and Rob and our other friend, Nate, and listening to him on the way down, seeing the show, and actually beforehand, you buying self-titled and playing it in that bar next door.
Oh, yeah.
And just blasted it. I think we listened to it like 3 times in a row because we were there for so long before the show. And yeah, that's my early memories of loving this band and this record in particular.
Yeah, shout out to Rodney at Interscope for hooking it up for the show, and food and drinks, and back in the day when record reps could just hook up everything. But yeah, I think the lead up to this record for me, like you said, kind of alluded to, I was a big fan from Songs for the Deaf. Had kind of gotten a little bit of a scoop on Rated R beforehand, again through the Kerrang magazine subscription, and
Drink.
Just that name is intriguing. Drink.
Hold on. We need shirts that say, I only read the Kerrang articles. Okay?
Yeah, we do. We should make those.
I subscribe to Kerrang for the articles.
For the articles.
That's perfect.
And the free CDs that came once in a while.
Yeah.
So I think it was like a slow burn, to get to this stage. But I was like, casual fan to fan with everyone else that was jumping on the Songs for the Deaf wagon, to, okay, there was a little bit of a lull there. They didn't necessarily fall off, but it was such a massive, like, to the moon success story with Songs for the Deaf that when that cycle ended, it was almost like they just like vanished. So when they did come back and there was like a little bit of press for this new record, it was great, but there was also a little bit of disappointment with people that were like really, like myself, raving for the band, like, oh, but there's a fucking lineup change. And we lost Nick Oliveri, which is, it was an all-star lineup. And Grohl. Yeah, exactly. Grohl was a drummer for them, although he was more session, but he did tour with them. So missing 2 members, it was kind of like that. You're riding high on a band and then you're missing 2, critical elements to that puzzle where it's like, is it not going to stack up? How's this going to look? I think we're going to get into it. It's an amazing fucking record. And the show showed that with the lineup that they did tour with us. They had Mark Lanigan touring on that lineup. First time I've ever seen him. Never got to see Screaming Trees. So just that alone was something to see.
That alone is amazing that we were able to see Lanigan on tour with Queens do some of the songs that, from prior Queens records, because he's not super part of this one, right? He's only on a couple of songs, but he's part of the fabric of the band for sure, right? So that was amazing that we were able to actually say we got to see Lanigan with Queens of the Stone Age live.
I think that adds to the mystique, because like when I look at Queens, I kind of think of them as like a collective, right? It's had so many people come and gone, and Homey's been the mainstay, and I looked what Troy was. He was on this record, and
Yep.
he's probably what the second in command at this point. But that's the appeal. We're like the fact that this record was as good. I think it points to Jaume being, a genius. You know what I mean? Like he's been the mainstay, right?
Yeah, and they're the desert rock that they are, and they kind of all out of Rancho de la Luna, right, in Joshua Tree area, right? Is that where that is, Nate? You've been there.
Yep.
Yeah, and Dave Ketching, and he's essentially part of the band. I mean, he's producer for a lot of stuff, but he plays music on this record. He's played on other records, part of the Desert Sessions. Like, there's a lot of lore around this band and around this collective of people who have found each other in various different forms. So, Eagles of Death Metal, Grohl coming in, doing them Crooked Vultures too, and doing Queen's record, Caius back in the day. Like, there's all kinds of stuff around this, and you really could go. We could go hours on the Queen's lore. So we won't tonight. We'll do an hour, but we could go hours on it.
So Nate, you were a fan in the moment. I want to relive this. Like, so Nick, there's a departure there. Grohl, he's moving on. He's not on this record. There was disappointment. Was it because of the output or just the fact that those members dropped? Because it's a great record. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily disappointment, at least from my end, but I think people were apprehensive, like, oh, there's a lineup change that was so critical to the band's sound at a point where they were on this amazing delta, like, oh, but you got rid of Oliveri, like, who's going to do the screaming parts? You got rid of Grohl, like, that drum sound was honed in, and because they're such a guitar drum driven band, it's like, well, how can you top that? But it actually worked out because Joey Castillo is a fucking 10 out of 10 drummer and nails it on this record, and he was part of the lineup for quite a while. He's since gone on to other bands, a lot of smaller punk bands and stuff like that, like the Bronx. But I wasn't disappointed. I'll put it that way. But I think there was, before it dropped, I was part of that crowd that was like, ah, man, like, we were riding high forever. This is really going to stop right now. But who knows? But also, like, that's after being a fan and on a three-peat. So it was almost like I was anticipating it just to be a bomb, because self-titled 10 out of 10 record, rated R 10 out of 10, Songs for the Deaf 10 out of 10. And again, kind of reeling back to what Tone said, I had never even heard self-titled until I bought it at the record store for like $8 down the road at CD
Spins, baby. Yep.
Yeah, on Fremont Street in Boston. And it was an original press. I think it's worth some coin now. And that's the one we played at the bar next door. But yeah, so I was kind of like, okay, you can't go 4-peat, but they went 4-peat with this one.
Yeah. Well, and now it's part of Podioslave lore, that CD. So
yeah.
I remember going to that. I'm gonna travel back to that night, because that's the night that I became a fan of the band. I liked them a little bit before, but that's the night that I was like, all right, I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna buy records. I'm gonna become this fan that's been around now for 20 years. And I went down with Nate, our other buddy Nate, not you, and met you and Rob at that bar. And I walk in, and it's like a scene out of a movie. And Queen's music works for scenes out of movies, especially walking into bars. It's perfect. And I see you guys, you're drinking, hanging out, talking to the rep, whatever. Nate and I roll in, start doing the same thing, and it just feels like we've made it. And we're listening to this fucking badass record, which wasn't Lullabies, but it was Queen's. I'm getting excited to go see the band next door and walk into that show, and they just, from the jump, like, blew our faces off. They were just so good live. Like, and I couldn't walk out of there not being a fan. There was no way they weren't going to have me at that point, and they did. And 20 years on, we're still talking about them. So this record in particular, they played, I didn't look at the set list, but a couple of songs off of, and continued to do that and put out a live record in the fall that has some more of the songs on it, and some of it's in video form. You got to find them. Like I Never Came is one of my favorite songs, and there's a video of that. It's not on the CD, but just a badass band with so much going on, and it never misses, even if it's different.
Sidebar on that show, it's my favorite poster that I've ever bought at a show. It's by Jermaine Rogers. It's a lithograph. I think it's limited to like 100. Amazing. I need to get it framed. And it was at the Roxy in Boston. And
nice.
The reason I was doing the sidebar wasn't necessarily for the poster, but for anyone listening or anyone that knows anyone that was at that show, if anyone has a fucking video or audio bootleg of that show, I would love to have that, especially video. I haven't been able to find it on YouTube, but I haven't looked in a while. But yeah, that show was a game changer for me.
So Roxy in Boston is Royale, right? Isn't it
Yep.
Royale?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're another band that, I mean, they just played the Civic Center in Portland, right?
Hmm.
Which that probably drew 5,000 people. The Roxy was probably what, 1,200, 1,500?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Like that'll never happen again, guys. They will
Right.
never play unless it's some underplay special thing, you know?
Yeah, I feel like they do underplays, right? Because in San Diego, they played the Observatory, which is 1,400 cap room, on the same tour that you guys saw at the State Theater.
Yeah, you're right. So maybe they do.
Yeah. But at that point, they've gotten even bigger since then. So,
They played 7 songs off of Lullabies at that show, Nate.
wow, no
Wow.
kidding.
That kind of surprises me, but like looking back on it, I'm so happy they did. That's fucking awesome. Yeah, they open with "Someone's in the Wolf," and then "Long Slow Goodbye" is part of the finale, part of the encore. "Burn the Witch," "Little Sister," "In My Head," which is a great song. "I Never Came," which is like a top 3 Queen song for me. "Tangled Up in Plaid," another great song. Just all around badass set list.
So I want to know, like from you guys, you've lived it for 20 years, like standout tracks. You want to dig in a couple tracks?
Yeah, let's do it. Nate, what are your top 3?
Ooh, nice. Top 3. Let's see. I'm looking at it right now. I would say Tangled Up in Plaid. I Never Came is probably my number 1 on this record, even though it's a slower type ballad song. And then Long Slow Goodbye, which is also slow. So I guess 2 out of 3 are the slower ones.
Those are great songs though.
Yeah. Even though it's a ripper of a record, but the slow ones really get me.
Oh, that's okay. Top 3. "I Never Came" is my favorite song on the record. It's a top 3 Queen song for me, just across the catalog. I fucking love that song. It's so good. The little noodling of the guitar at the beginning, the buildup of emotion from Josh, and the record, the song itself. Go listen to that if you've never listened to it. I don't know how you got here if that's the case, but go listen to it.
Yeah, why are you still listening if you don't know this album?
I love "Tangled Up in Plaid," which is a Bob Dylan reference, if I'm not mistaken, right? He had "Tangled Up in Blue" off of
Wow, the more you know.
Blood on the Tracks, I believe. And yeah, so "Tangled Up in Plaid," cool, fun way to pay homage to Bob Dylan. I mean, the song, I don't think it has anything to do with Dylan, but the name of the song is a play on a Bob Dylan song. And then I go back and forth from "Everyone Knows You're Insane" to "In My Head." Probably "In My Head" is my 3rd favorite song on the record. So yeah, it's just an amazing record.
Ooh, you can't. Man, I'm almost retracting. "The Blood Is Love" is a fucking banger.
That's a
too.
good one. Yeah.
Oh man, especially the intro. It's like, what is that? A pool table and a sword?
There's so many weird intros, like the cough at the beginning of "Burn the Witch." It's like someone's coughing in a hallway at the beginning of that song, and it just turns into the dun 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 dun. Dun. It's so good.
If you want the new guy's opinion here,
I do.
Medication.
I almost said you like Medication.
The guitar tone is untouchable, not only on its own, but that it comes off the heels of this Lullaby. It's like, and I think I texted you guys. I was like, I don't know what the fuck this record is after the first song, and then Medication comes in. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. In My Head, I liked, and then this is probably a newbie answer, but Little Sister's a great song. I think
Yep.
Great song. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I was reading, a lot of people think that like the back half kind of slows down a little bit. People lose interest, but I didn't lose interest. I don't know.
I have there's 2 things. I want to give you a Little Sister tidbit. Do you remember Queens played, I think, SNL around this time, and Will Ferrell came out and played the cowbell during Little Sister?
Oh, yep. I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Dressed as Gene from Blue Oyster Cult. So go check that out if you've not seen that. It's pretty awesome. And 2, I'm with you. It does feel like it slows down because there's a couple of longer songs on there, but I don't think it slows down. There's only one song that I would like skip then and now. "Skin on Skin," I don't love. It's a good song, but I don't love it. It feels like it's where they're headed, which is Era Vulgaris, and which is not my favorite Queens record. I like it. It's got a lot of really good songs on it, but I like this is firmly in between Era Vulgaris and Songs for the Deaf, and I like that. It's a little weird, but not too weird.
Yeah, in terms of the slowdown, I think "You Got a Killer Scene There, Man" is a little throwback to like Self-Titled, so it kind of almost snuck in there a little bit. But
yeah, and that's a good song. And "Long Slow Goodbye" is a great. Starts with like the phone busy signal. So good.
Yeah.
I mean, they so many fun weird sounds in this record.
I got a confession. Beyond the fact that I just heard this for the first time last week, I have another confession, which is, did you guys read the Pitchfork review?
no.
They gave it a 7.5, which is like
Wow.
In through the Pitchfork lens that's fucking Rolling Stone 4 or 5 stars, right?
I was hoping you'd say it was shit, because then we can shit on him again, but I guess not.
But the confession is, I agree with them in a phrase that they used to describe this album. They use the phrase oddly unclassifiable.
Yep.
Which I'm like,
wow.
Like, other than just like it's a timeless rock record, I wouldn't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, I read "Haunting Fairy Tale" somewhere. I was like, that fucking does it too.
Yeah.
Especially with that first song. Like, you're like, is this a Tarantino movie or Lord of the Rings fucking something, you know?
Well, and there's the like bells at the beginning of, is it Tangled Up in Plaid? That sounds kind of like dun, 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 like you're walking through the woods. Yeah.
Yeah. Produced by Josh Homme too. So this is all, like we were talking about it kind of at the jump. Like, this is his band, and he's at the helm, and he produced it too. So it really is through and through like his vision, which I fucking think is so cool.
Yeah, it is kind of unclassifiable. I completely agree with that, and I'm surprised that Pitchfork liked it. Did you know? And I found this out today, and I mean, just perusing who's on the record, and because there's going to be people on it that maybe you didn't hear necessarily. I'm sure you guys saw that Jack Black is on it.
No,
I did not know that.
Not at all. Enlighten me.
Yeah, hand claps and stomps on "Burn the Witch."
Oh, nice.
Also seen contributing the same for Broken Box during the bonus DVD. Yep.
Hey Jack, can you stomp on the floor for this record?
Sure, guys, I'm in.
I love what you did on the "Fuck Her Gently" track. You come in on this one.
Yeah, but yeah, it's also got Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top, right, and Dave Ketching, who runs Rancho de la Luna, Jesse Hughes, Eagles Death Metal, his wife at the time, Brody Dalle. They're not together anymore. Shirley Manson is on "You Got a Killer Scene" there, man, too, backing vocals, which is kind of cool. So just a few people probably rolling through town that were like, "Oh, Queen's is making a record. I'm here. Look, can I give you something?"
Well, this was Sound City.
Well, you can't forget Josh Freese. Also, Josh Freese on "In My Head" along with Castillo. So maybe he did the drum intro, like Unwritten Law style.
Hey, yeah, can we get Josh to come in and just play the really hard part and disappear again?
Bring in Shannon Larkin. He's a free agent now, right?
That's true. Yeah,
he is. Okay. Yep. And we know he's good at coming in and playing different difficult parts for people.
Observation from the newbie, and I think I texted you guys this. Like, it feels like a veteran, seasoned musician record that like comes from someone who's lived and is. There's no way they're under 30. I don't know how old he was, but it just feels that it's like there's almost like a rawness and just exposedness, if that's even a word, to this record that I don't think anyone in their 20s could make.
He was 30, probably 30 or 31, because
wow,
yeah, he's 51 right now.
And that's crazy because they had been a band for 7-8 years, and then Caius before that. Like, so there was some mileage. I guess that's where I'm going. Is like it could only come from someone with mileage.
Yeah, lived in for sure. They've just been making music and know how to and know what they want to do and do, even if it's weird and offbeat. And yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's like a unwavering confidence that, and it's not a major. You know what I mean? It's just like. And I would love to know those backroom combos, which is like Interscope's like, we need a single, and they're like, no.
Here's Little Sister. Like
here's Little Sister.
Kind of works, right?
Yeah,
and
like we'll give you a little nibble, and that's about it.
That really was about it.
To tangent off that, I'm happy you said the label stuff, because there was a quote, again, I think it's Kerrang! Magazine Drink, where Homme is like, yeah, they cut our fucking tour support for this record, so we have to go out of pocket for a lot of this. If I'm misquoting this, anyone listening, please correct me, but this is from what I recall, like 15 or so 20 years ago, reading this article.
All alleged. Yeah, you're good.
They're like, yeah, like Interscope cut our touring support. Meanwhile, the CEO is flying around in a private jet, so it's like, what the fuck's that all about? But
that's just labels, man. It is what it is.
I know, but the reasoning was it not successful? No, this record went gold, but it was a flop in comparison to Songs for the Deaf on a record label's like perspective, which is bullshit, but that's just the way it goes.
That's labels 101. And we've heard that numerous times from different artists from, the 90s and the early 2000s to this point, that the machine is never going to cease looking for you to give it something. So if you don't give it what you gave it before or better, they're going to be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And that's just the nature of the beast, really, in any in any walk of life, I think.
Yeah.
But certainly in entertainment and music.
What you guys got? You guys have lived this shit. Let's go.
I've given a lot here.
I got nothing left to give.
No,
man.
I gave you the Jack Black. I gave you the fucking Gene from fucking Will Ferrell. I gave you all kinds of stuff.
One thing that I did, just kind of trying to catch up on this album, is I read a quote. I guess Home was on Sarah Silverman's show back in the day when she had it.
Yeah.
And it must have been on a press run for this album. And he was like, he described the album as nighttime songs, like after midnight. Like that's when he wrote them, like they're nighttime songs. And it's funny, I read that after I had already listened to it a bunch, and I was like, yeah, like these are nighttime songs.
Yes.
This is late night shit, late night sessions. And I love to be a fly on the wall at Rancho or Sound City, whenever, when these were written, because it was just like, it was a time,
Yeah, they were having a good time while writing them. Is what you're trying to get at, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. And it definitely feels that way. And a lot of their records do have some of those vibes. This one has it for sure. He was also on Portlandia in a very funny sketch. Go check that out if you haven't seen that. I'm just gonna throw out all the random Queens facts that I have in my head. But the swagger you have to put this record out after changing the lineup a little bit and having your biggest commercially successful record to date, and have it be so damn good still. And I mean, that's coming from a fan, right? I'm somebody who loves the band, but I think time, looking back on this now, would say, yeah, this record's really good. There's not a lot of fat on it, even though they're long songs, and it uses everybody pretty well, I would say, with the exception of, I think there should be more Lanigan, but that's just me because I love Lanigan in Queens, especially when it changes some things up for, what you're listening to. Maybe you get In the Fade in the middle of the record, which is fucking amazing. So that's my 2 cents, but it's a pretty ballsy and bold move to put this out, and I think they fucking nailed it.
Yeah, I think Tommy, if I'm just speaking out loud here, he must have some kind of template that he puts out for each record, because this one does fit that like nighttime vibe, where like Songs for the Deaf is just like full on balls to the wall.
Driving through the desert,
yeah, rock and roll record.
Driving through the desert at night, though, I get a night vibe.
Yeah,
for this one,
for that one, too. For songs, yeah.
Oh, for songs too, yeah, totally. But I think there's like almost like a canvas for each record. Like it was almost, some of it's not premeditated in how the songs are going to sound, but just like an overall overarching theme. And I think the nighttime thing that you alluded to is very much so the case for this one, because the songs pretty much tie together. And there's definitely, I think I read somewhere also on prep for this that like he would purposely, like, what song was it? I think it was actually I Never Came, where all he did is like just drink red wine that whole night to like add to like almost like help his voice become like that raspier voice for that song, for that tune. Again, there's always like intoxication tied in with this band and these songs, but unfortunately it's just the way it goes.
Sometimes it's not necessarily even drugs, it's just intoxication.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think you'll find all your favorite records had a little spice to them, in that world, in that realm.
There's a lot of that. Yeah, there's some that's not, but there's a lot that there are. A little help. So do you guys think if they could they put a record like this out today, knowing what we know about them now? I guess I'm leaning more on Nate because he knows the catalog pretty well.
It's a good question. I think that they could, and I think that they kind of have. Again, it's all Josh's vision, but he's also not one to want to repeat what he's already done, right? So he's just kind of constantly pushing the envelope, but he's still him, and the band is still who they are in terms of sound. So would they replicate this? I don't think so. Could they do it today had they never done this before? I think so, 100%.
I'm going to throw maybe a unique perspective. I think there's enough of a collective there that probably yes. And one thing I noticed looking at their catalog is the duration of time between albums tends to get longer as they go. Like 2 years, 2 years, 3, 2, 4, 4, 6. So I don't think he's going to put out shit, right? I don't think that's, so I think if something was heading in the wrong direction, I don't think it would see the light of day.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. No, I'm just thinking out loud here. Like, I don't think there's another record like this in their catalog, which is kind of cool. And also, interesting because they have a lot of music out there, and a lot of bands you're going to get one record or two records that sound similar to maybe their big one, and I don't think Queens ever really did that. Like they had bits and pieces of previous kind of regimes and sounds, but typically a new record, new aesthetic, new sound, new. It's Queens, but it's going to be different than what you heard last time for sure.
What's interesting about this record is, like I said, I looked at a lot of like prominent outlets. They rank the Queen's catalog, and fans too. Like this YouTube, it's Reddit, all over, whatever. A lot of people on average, I would say, have this record maybe 5th out of the 8, which is very interesting to me. That tells me the power of the catalog, right? The bench strength of the catalog. Because where I was going is, let's just say a new band came out in 2025 and dropped this album. They'd be the biggest fucking things. And it would be, if a new band dropped this record, Pitchfork would probably rate it higher than a 7.5. They're just benchmarked against these classics. Yeah. And it's unfortunate. You see it. I think we've talked about it with Eminem and Green Day. And you know what I mean? These records can't stand alone because they're part of a catalog. But if you put this in a new band, they'd fucking win a best new artist.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It is crazy that it's like 5th on the list because it doesn't really miss. Like there's one song for me that like I like but don't love. The rest of it is all really fucking good and put where it's supposed to be and gives you different things from song to song. Like Medication, like you said, Anthony. That song is like a punk song from Queens, as punk as they're gonna be.
It's a garage rock song. Yeah, it's a garage awesome. Band song. It's awesome.
Yeah, and then you jump into, In My Head, which is not that. It's like a kind of a straightforward rocker. And then you get I Never Came, which is kind of a ballady type song. And then you get The Blood Is Love, which is just fucking long and crazy. And like very Queens, very like older Queens, that, 6, 7, 8 minute long song. So yeah, they're always doing something different, but nobody else is really doing it like them.
Yeah, it's a good point, Twan. Like, if a band were to put out this record exactly as is, they would be the biggest band on the planet, and everyone would reference them media wise. Like, they've created this, they've created this new sound that no one's done before. It's like, well, Queens of the Stone Age has done it. They've just keep kind of alternate their different variations of what they've already done in different styles for their next release. But yeah, it's that unique. I think it's that unique that it has that much variation within the track list that you just kind of reviewed. Tone, like, how do you go from In My Head or Tangled Up in Plaid to You Got a Killer Scene There, Man? Like, You Got a Killer Scene There, Man could be its own record. Just songs like that, just chill out, mellow, smoky room vibe songs. So,
and they have a bunch of those throughout the history, but I think this record has like 4 of them.
Yeah,
like they could be part of a HBO crime, detective drama, and Vince Vaughn's walking into the fucking bar and a Queen song from this record is playing. It would fit perfectly.
Close your eyes, imagine it. He's right.
Right? Like that's exactly what I was thinking while driving home tonight, listening to it. I'm like, yeah, that works.
Oh man, maybe Lullabies should be replace the Dust Brothers on the Fight Club 30th anniversary.
Oh man, there's songs that would work.
When I'm listening to this, I'm like, this could have dropped in any fucking era and it would have hit. Just like, there's a simplicity to it and the guitar tone, and I don't know. It got me thinking. I'm like, are they the last like classic rock band? Like the last true rock band? Like, I don't know. Do rock bands even fucking exist anymore?
Yeah, they do. They just do. They're also factioned off in whatever, part of the world they're in. You know what I mean? Right. Like you're a shoegaze band, you're a Deftones core, you're a hardcore band, you're a punk band, Nobody's like, this is just a straightforward, awesome rock band that does a bunch of weird shit too, and it works, and don't worry about it, but that's what they are. I mean, Foos are still around, but they're not the same. That's a little more straightforward rock, and when they put stuff out, people pay attention, but I think, as far as like the niche, it's a little bit different over here crowd. No, there's nobody like this.
Yeah, I think it's a good point.
At this scale.
Terms of, I think rock music that's not trying so hard and just doing it for the sake of doing it is right. Probably Queens of the Stone Age.
I think you nailed it.
Pound for pound.
So you're right. It's so nonchalant.
It's not fishing for the single.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just the artistic element to this band is honestly, it's probably why a lot of people have a hard time getting into them if they're not into them, because they're just so, it's like really artsy, you know? If you're thinking of them through that lens, it's like really wild music. But if you give it a listen, especially if you're deep diving it, you kind of don't have a choice but to fall into it. You're like, damn, this is so good, you know? And then seeing them live again, we've talked about it at length, but that's the game changer. That's how it really comes full circle. You're like, oh, it's like a fucking storyline, basically, you know?
Yeah, and we saw them live a couple different times, right? And I think you and I saw them at that '05 show, and then I saw them at the State Theater in 2017 on the Villains tour, which was amazing because it was the State. You know, it's a tiny venue. They underplay again, like they shouldn't. It sold out so fast, and then we all three of us saw them again in Portland at the Cross Insurance, and that was one of my favorite times seeing them, or really, it's like probably a top 10 show for me just because of how big it was crowd wise and how intimate it felt. And we've said that before, but like no other band makes it feel like that big room feels so small. Like he's singing to us, he's singing to the group of people I'm standing with. Not everybody, the group of people I'm standing with. It feels like that's what's happening. And that's the piece that has kind of got me to fall in love with that band to begin with and kept me there all these years.
And even for all the, I don't know, the weirdness, the left of center stuff, it's not manufactured. Like I think it's authentic. And I think that's why it feels like that. You know, that's why it's 6,000 cap, but it feels smaller because it's not forced, right? There was no confetti there. There was no, you know, it wasn't intended to be a fucking stadium thing. It's just, hey, imagine us in a smoke-filled bar, but there's 5,000 people here, you know? Yeah. You can't fake that.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the show. Was there not any production, really? There wasn't, right?
There was, but it wasn't.
And
there was lights, and I think they had a backdrop and stuff, but it was tasteful, and it was subtle. Like even at that scale, it was subtle, you know?
It wasn't taking away from what you were listening to or watching on stage.
Yeah. I get that.
All right, so wrapping up here, I got a question for you, Anthony, being kind of the newbie to this record and a little more open to maybe checking out more Queens. Is that something that's on the table for you? You're going to jump into some more stuff and see what you like and see what's for you?
I'm smirking because we usually end these retro episodes with like, what's the legacy? And so I actually was thinking that if fans of the band think this is fifth,
oh yeah,
I'm in for it, right?
Yep.
I'm in for it, you know, and that's kind of where my head's at, because like we did the Songs for the Deaf, you know, retro, and that was fucking cool. Like I understand, I totally get it if people have that at the peak. Rated R, I have gotten into, like I'm relatively familiar with that one. Great record. So it's like, okay, you could easily slot those. I don't think anyone's going to dispute those are in the top half, right? But you're trying to tell me there's two more in the catalog that are better than this one? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Good. And I would go see them. And so now. What is it, MGM Fenway show? Are we doing that or what?
Nate and I talked about that the other night, actually. Yeah, that's something that we want to do.
I am 100% going to that with or without you guys.
Well, I'm really hoping that I'm there, and it'll depend on a couple of work things, but yeah, my plan is to also be at one of those two Queens shows at MGM because I fucking love this band. I want to see them live again.
But yeah, I would say I've been into them from you guys and seeing the show. And I think this will probably continue it, you know. And it as you guys know, it's very tough. Sometimes it's tough to even listen to the classics, you know, because we're always checking out new stuff. But I think I will. I think. Well, let me ask you, without deep diving, just real quick, what would you slot in that like 3 to 4 slot? Is it self-titled or is it more like Clockwork or something? Like what should I check out next? I guess is my question.
I love Like Clockwork. I think it's 8 songs. Go peep that. That one came out. Geez, close to 2012, 2013, something like that. It's been a while. It's been around a while now. One of my favorites. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's one of my favorites front to back as a piece of music. And I think you'll like that one. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's a good recommendation. Homework. I'd say for me, like, if we're actually ranking, the self-titled first record is my favorite record by them.
That's a good one.
And
You Can't Quit Me, Baby.
Yeah, the track listing name alone. It's crazy too because it's their first record, but it sounds as like proper and weathered as these records. Like he's been doing it forever. Yeah, he was in Caius. I
Like
get
Creed
it. But
weathered, or like
Was his face on a tree? I mean,
remember when I put our faces on the weathered record? Old social media. Go check it out.
so I have a hunch, Nate. Do you like the album because of the alternate artwork CD cover?
Yeah,
For the first one?
might,
Hey,
yeah.
it's a bonus. Yeah.
Certainly a bonus. Great record. I'm not knocking it. And you're right. It does feel like they've been around a while for it to be their first record, but they had been, right, with the Kaya stuff, and they've been making music and around the scene. You got a killer scene there, man, right? It was already a kind of a thing, so that it was natural that they went to that and it worked.
I'd put it's equivalent to like I don't know, Pure Rock Fury by Clutch. Like
Yep.
clearly they were in their realm, like they knew what they were doing, but it was clearly a small band at the time. Let's put it that way. Like they were, I think for that cycle they played Asylum, now Aura.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean they were just a small band, you know, but the record is solid. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 record.
Love that record. I'm right there with you. It's got a lot of kind of, it actually has some similar vibes to Lullabies, but completely different at the same time.
The punchline there for me is you guys have converted me.
Good. I'm happy.
Nice. That makes me happy too.
Yeah, that makes me happy.
So Nate's 2 for 2 in the conversion. Tone's 1 for 1 on the conversion. I need to pass the gift along to someone.
Well, you've passed stuff along to us. Like I'm a gigantic Crime Hysteria fan now, so you've got us there.
Actually, it's funny you say that. When I was listening to In My Head, and I think I texted you guys
yeah,
this.
you did.
I listened to In My Head, and I was like, Alex Dunn, guitarist of Crime Hysteria, if you're listening, I'd love to know, are you a Queens fan? Because I can definitely hear some influence on the Is Dead, and I was trying to describe you records. I'm like, he has to be a Queens fan. And actually, Tony, you have a better memory than I do. I think he referenced Josh Homme in the conversation.
He may have. I'd have to go back and listen. We've had a lot of combos now.
I think he did, and I don't remember the context, but like, why did he even say that name out of any name to pull? So I think he's a fan, and it's evident.
We can ask him next time we talk to him. Yeah. Hopefully sometime this year. That's something that we want to do. But yeah, that you're right. You did mention that in the text, and I'm glad that we got back there somehow. But yeah, cool record, cool band, and I'm glad that we've converted you and you've converted us to stuff, and more nerdery on the way from us for sure.
Yeah, I think Hami is a musician because you'll see little hints of it once in a while. Like I saw in an interview with Jim Root of Slipknot, Stone Sour formerly, and he's wearing a subtle Queens of the Stone Age shirt. Like it's got the logo like really small, you can barely see it, and you're like, oh, Queens of the Stone Age shirt. I know that is just based on that logo alone. And he's fucking lead guitarist for Slipknot. So there's not always a correlation, but I think there's an appreciation, you know?
How many people commented on my Rated R shirt at Tattoo the Earth?
Oh, exactly.
Fucking
Chris
everybody.
Beatty, Chris Link,
everybody.
all the Chris's.
They're all like, sick shirt, bro. And I was like, I know. I'm a huge fan too. So yeah, you're right.
It's an original. This ain't no bootleg.
Yeah. I love that shirt. I love that fucking artwork. I mean, that's a different story for a different day, but yeah, I think you're right, Nate. I'm proving your point here.
I think the sound. I'm gonna try to wrap us here. Actually, the new guy. I think the sound of this record is like the actual sound in the guitar tones, all that. It's timeless. I think to come back from this, from like the big hit album, right? No One Knows, right? Was on Songs. Super impressive.
Yeah, I agree.
Super impressive, and I think this is. Honestly, I think as time goes on, I think this might be like the 311 Transistor, where like over time, it's like time after so many years, like we forget that Transistor came directly after self-titled. No one cares anymore, right? It just stands on its own, and I think that's what we're gonna find with this one. Yeah,
I like that a lot. I think there's like a creative freedom that's earned after you've put out that, you know, insanely successful record where it's like, all right, this guy knows what he's doing. Let him do what he's going to do. And then 311 puts out Transistor, which the record label's probably like, what the fuck is this shit? And Interscope with songs, Lullabies is like, same. Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like,
good, not great, guys. Come on, try again.
Hopefully it sticks. Cause this is a little weird and eerie and hard to market, but okay.
Well, it's a cool record, and we knew that, and a lot of people I think know that and love this band, and this this was the time that I got into them. So I appreciate this record for that, even though it wasn't my favorite and wasn't the one that I was using to get into them. Seeing them live on this album tour was the reason why. And thanks, Nate. I appreciate you being, converting me, and then we converted Twan. We're gonna just find more people.
The cult of nerdery
under the
is the
tent
best.
and bring people under the hood.
Drink, yes. The cult of nerdery. I had this poster too, where they're all wearing like the wolf masks in the woods. I fucked it up because I like put it up on my wall with tape and shit as a kid. I'm a dumbass. I think I still have it somewhere, but it's beat to shit, and I'm pissed at myself for that because it's a cool fucking poster.
Yeah, the sticky tack, tape, pinholes, and all the nerdery that I have is devastating at.
We're dumb. We were dumbasses.
40, yeah.
Little did we know we'd want all that stuff to be pristine when we were 40, and here we are.
Queens of the Tone Age.
On that note, let's wrap it, boys. Lots of fun. Thanks everybody for checking us out. We'll be back next week with more nerdery. I don't know what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be there, and that's what we do, baby.
Interviews, deep dives. You love it. We love it. See you next week. See ya.
Obscure nerdery. Cheers, nerds.
What was it? Oddly unclassifiable.
Yeah, oddly unclassifiable. The Podioslave podcast.
Peace. Mic drop.
Peace, potheads. Thank you for listening to Podioslave. We are at Podioslave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Podioslave Podcast. YouTube, Podioslave Podcast there. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.